passed it on to their kids.
So, Elder Wand has thestral hair in it, right?
Yeah.
So, I know Dumbledore says in... Is that the 7th one? Because we only hear about the tale of the 3 brothers in the 7th one, right?
Yeah.
Because Dumbledore says something along the lines of, and I'm just paraphrasing, he believes that it was just powerful wizards made those 3 items. So, anyone could technically make a wand. Because or we could go that Death made them because they are the most...
Well, because wands are specifically taken from certain kinds of wood that have certain kinds of properties.
So, I mean, we could say Death did give them those items because they are the 3 most powerful wizarding artifacts that we have seen. The only true invisibility cloak in existence.
There are other invisibility cloaks made from, like, demiguise and, like, with enchantments and things.
But this is the only true 100%.
But even Mad-Eye Moody even says, like, he has an invisibility cloak, but it's, like, I think he says, like, the enchantments can wear off over time.
Yeah, but Harry's is the only true one. The Resurrection Stone, I mean, think about this. The Philosopher's Stone is a knockoff Resurrection Stone.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that that's true, but...
No, but the Resurrection Stone can resurrect people.
No, we literally went over this.
You know what I mean. It can sort of bring back a ghostly figure.
Yeah.
While the Philosopher's Stone would be what? The opposite?
The Philosopher's Stone creates the elixir of life.
So, they created the Philosopher's Stone to be the opposite of the Resurrection Stone, essentially.
I have read the article about the how the Philosopher's Stone, like, in actual history, not just the Harry Potter franchise, but, like, how it was supposedly used in alchemy and things like that.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to understand because that's just not how my brain works.
Easiest way to think of alchemy was people turning gold into lead.
No, I know, but then
turning lead into gold.
The person writing the article was basically kind of taking that historical information and kind of applying it to the fictional version.
But there has to be alchemaic magic. Because because alchemy does exist in Harry Potter. That's potions. It's alchemy.
Well, yeah, and we don't need to get into it, but there's a whole group of names and things. She took a lot of things from alchemy, and history and things of that nature. It's a whole, like, rabbit hole you could go down.
There's a lot of info to it.
There's a book, like one of the illustrated editions, called The History of Magic, that really goes into all of that stuff, if you're really, really interested. But yeah, so Prisoner of Azkaban, released in 2004 and directed by Alfonso Cuarón. I really apologize if I'm saying that wrong. I don't speak Spanish. And all of the English speakers that I have heard pronounce his name say Cuarón, so I apologize in advance if I say it wrong. I think that this installment is so interesting as a piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
Cinematically, this movie is so different. Because, and I said it in the first two, but Chris Columbus's take is so much more saturated. And I think that's why Prisoner of Azkaban feels almost jarring.
Yes. Because it is vastly... It's the first dark, and it's really the only one, in my opinion, that doesn't directly relate to Voldemort.
Well, yeah, Voldemort doesn't really show up in any way, shape, or form. And he doesn't in 6 either.
But they take over...
Well, I guess Voldemort backstory does.
Yes.
Like, young Voldemort, but...
But yeah, Voldemort 3 is the only one that does not have any correlation to
it
Voldemort.
ties into the overall story, but Voldemort himself doesn't show up.
Yeah, they don't say Voldemort, or they really don't even talk about Voldemort.
They do, but it's in relation to how the other characters kind of relate to...
Yes, but not like...
It's how Voldemort fits into the puzzle.
Because we see Voldemort in the first one. We see Voldemort...
We see Tom Riddle.
We see Tom Riddle in the second one. In the fourth one, you see him come alive. In the fifth one, you see him in real life. You see young Voldemort, not Teen Mort.
And then the final battle.
I'm sorry, Teen Mort just reminded me of Mort from Madagascar.
It has been centuries since I've seen that movie.
I like to move it.
I also think this... Well, I'll get into this in a second, but the caliber of acting in this dang movie. We get Emma Thompson as Trelawney, who... Icon, chef's kiss. And then Gary Oldman and David Thewlis. And honestly...
David Thewlis?
Lupin.
Okay.
And... I mean, you gotta give credit where credit is due. I don't like the character of Pettigrew. I think he's terrible. But god dang does Timothy Spall do a great job.
So...
That man is a human rat.
Yes. So, I mean, he's a rat in everything he plays.
He really does play the same character in everything, though.
The swarmy little, like, backstabber.
And also, like, you really gotta give Alan Rickman some credit. He chewed the scenery in every freaking scene of this movie.
Yes, like, just full on.
People quote the turn to page 394 constantly. I also think that this movie does a really good job, specifically in, which we'll get into, in the Shrieking Shack scene.
Yes.
With the way that it's like, and even Daniel Radcliffe talks about that scene was like playing, like watching a tennis match. Like they were just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Uh-huh.
And how anxiety-inducing that scene is edited.
Yes.
The music, you can hear the creaking of the house.
I mean, that scene...
It's such a genius scene.
That scene reminds me of... Do you remember in Winter Soldier? Captain America Winter Soldier, the elevator.
Oh, yeah. You could cut the tension with a knife.
I have seen, not to bring back Marvel into this, but I have seen so many people putting different music on top of the...
Shockingly, it all works.
Yes. It's like, also at the beginning of Guardians 2, Baby Groot dancing, people have put in other music, and it still works.
So, the movie opens with Harry trying to study under the covers, which I'm like, we literally just went over you can't use magic outside of school. Why are you Lumos Maximating?
I think Lumos is fine. But also, Harry is the chosen one. He's not going to get in trouble. He literally
gets expelled for, like, a very similar thing in 2 movies. Then again, he didn't have Umbridge after him at the time.
Yeah.
So, okay.
No, he never got expelled.
In 5.
But he still was able to go. Yeah.
Because he, like, had Dumbledore fighting for him at the hearing.
Yeah, but he also did magic in front of muggles.
Yeah, I don't know. And then we meet Aunt March, played by Pam Ferris, who, if you're not aware, I feel like this is common knowledge, but if you're not aware, she is Miss Trunchbull in Matilda, in the 1996 Matilda, 1997, I can't remember. Anyway.
Late 90s.
The one with Danny DeVito in it. And when that occurred to me, that's Miss Trunchbull, like, and I've heard stories about Pam Ferris, like, apparently she is, like, the nicest human being on the planet, and yet she plays these 2 incredibly iconic, vile humans. But, like, I've heard she's, like, a sweetheart in real life.
Yeah.
Which is impressive. But she is horrible. Like, honestly, she makes Vernon look like an angel. Like, the way that she's talking about, if there's something wrong with the bitch, there's something wrong with the pup. I'm like, don't talk about somebody's mom, let alone their dead mom.
Yeah.
Also, he's a child.
Yeah.
And he gets very reasonably upset.
I mean, I think Harry should have been expelled for what he does.
Well, even Fudge is like, we don't send people to Azkaban for blowing up their aunt.
So, he did wandless magic.
He did it on accident. It's very akin to... So, in the books, in case you haven't read them at all or for a very long time, it's early magic, like when children are first developing their powers. They're known to kind of, set little fires accidentally or, change their hair color unexpectedly or,
Yeah.
like random little occurrences, i.e. the missing glass.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like crazy, but I thought it was his anger kind of blowing up. Pun. And
or could that have been the Horcrux?
Because he was
coming out.
I don't think it was the Horcrux. I think it was just he had unchecked anger, and he's an untrained wizard.
Yeah, but I mean, the Horcrux could have also affected his anger with it, because Voldemort is a powerful wizard. So the Horcrux could have kind of like Voldemort and Quirrell as a symbiotic thing could have been trying to protect its host.
I don't necessarily think it's that. I genuinely think it's just that Harry is...
But also, this was before we knew he was a Horcrux.
He only has 2 years of Hogwarts under his belt.
Yeah.
And let's just be real, Harry's not a very good student.
Harry learns more by doing and not by learning in a class.
No, he's a very hands-on learner. He's established.
I mean, that's how I am.
I mean, I think that's how most people are.
Because, think about it.
It's very rare to be able to learn effectively in an academic setting.
Yeah, no. I learn better hands-on. Like, at my work, they've asked, do I want to take notes or whatever? I'm like, no. I just tell me what to do so I can do it myself, and I'll know what to do.
But also, I think Harry even says it in relation to, the DA and stuff later, that, it's great when you learn something in a classroom, but, when you're seconds away from being murdered or watching a friend die, it's entirely different. Hermione is the complete and polar opposite. Her skill is 100%, practical and... how
it's done step by step.
Yeah, it's very logical, not practical.
Yes. And then Ron's is...
It's just because you're reading a recipe doesn't mean that, it's gonna turn into a cake.
Kind of like you with the sourdough 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. I tried to make sourdough the other week, and it, I am a very... When I cook, even when I bake, I've made bread before. I've never made sourdough before. But I'm a very intuitive cook. I just kind of trust my gut. But sourdough is incredibly science specific.
Yes.
And it turned out terribly. And
it was semi-edible.
It was terrible. And I realized that sourdough is not something you can be intuitive with.
No.
And I really admire people who can make sourdough like it's their job. But I will stick to regular sandwich bread, thank you.
Kind of like how I am with my seasonings and spices and...
Well, yeah, I mean, my mom has said for years, I'm really good at sauces and soups.
And I'm good at, you've tried to make, when I do steaks on the grill, you try to make my marinades, and you can never figure it out.
I wouldn't say that. But I can't make it the same as you do.
Yeah, I can make it taste the exact same every single time with no recipe.
I think that kind of is a testament to, I think of potions as, something like cooking.
Uh-huh.
And that's why Snape is so good at it, is because it's intuition, you know? And I don't think when it comes to, teaching somebody how to cook, you can't teach somebody intuition.
Yeah.
You can teach somebody the technique on how to cut an onion.
Which I still cannot do.
But you can't teach somebody how to know when there's enough salt in it.
Yeah.
You just gotta trust your gut.
Like, some dishes I tend to undersalt because I know I'll put more salt on it.
So, yeah. He blows up Aunt Marge. And I think that this scene is, like, with the cuckoo clock. And with the chaos of this scene, it's, like, so crazy. But I think where Daniel Radcliffe shines is in his angst.
Yes, and this is the first time that the Dursleys are afraid of him.
Yeah, because they finally see what he's capable of.
But his aunt should have known what he was capable of because of her sister.
Yeah.
So, but she still was afraid of him. Or she hated him, but now they're all afraid of him. Which goes out the window in the 5th one.
Yeah, the Dursleys are complicated, I think.
I still like the theory that the reasons why the Dursleys were so mean to him was because of the Horcrux in him.
Ron and Hermione spend so much more time with him.
No. He spent 12 straight years with the Dursleys.
He was in his bedroom most of the time.
But still in the proximity area.
Weigh in on that theory because I think it's terrible.
But
I think it's incredible.
Then explain Ron.
Because Ron already had a bunch of insecurities that the Horcrux preyed on.
It did the same thing to Hermione also.
No.
You sure?
Not in the same way.
I still think being near the Horcrux can channel some kind of emotion that's tied to it.
I think certain people are more susceptible.
Yeah. Which would explain why the Dursleys hated him so much.
No, I just think that they're evil.
That. Or could...
Okay, not evil. Like, not like Bellatrix evil, but they're like...
No,
they're
Bellatrix
cruel.
evil is maniacal.
No, but they're cruel. Locking a kid in a cupboard under the stairs for 11 years... That's pretty clear.
This is a weird theory that I just came up with. Could whatever emotion Voldemort was feeling at that time be affected by the Horcrux? So Voldemort was feeling anger because this little kid was going to stop him in the future, which is why Dursleys hated him so much. The locket could have been insecurity, or like the book went to Ginny. Like Ginny poured her heart and soul out into it, just like any normal teenager would with a diary, kind of like what Tom Riddle did with that.
I don't know. So Harry runs away, and he's sitting on the playground, and he sees this like really creepy dog in the bushes, which I'm like, how? In hindsight, we know that's serious, and I'm like, why do you need to be so terrifying?
So, my other concern with that is, we know how he escaped. Where is Azkaban?
In the middle of the North Sea.
As a dog, he swam that entire way.
Yeah, he might have, like, swam to a certain point and then apparated.
He wouldn't have his wand.
I think you can apparate without one.
I don't know. I mean, he's also been locked away for 12 years. What magic could he have done in that 12 years?
I don't know.
Because the Ministry breaks your wand. So how does he get a new... Okay. The Ministry, when you go to Azkaban, break your wand. Kind of like what happened to Hagrid.
Doesn't he have a wand in the end?
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe he, like, picked up a spare or something?
But you only get one wand.
No, but maybe he, like... I don't know, the Hogwarts Lost and Found or something. I don't know.
If a kid is missing the wand, I think they would know. Or the Dumbledore...
Ron broke his, and he had a broken wand, and they didn't freaking help him.
No, because that was the family wand. That was the family wand.
I know, but McGonagall wasn't like, hey, kid with a broken wand, let's help you.
Because with what money can they buy a new wand?
I know, but don't you think they would have a box of, like, just-in-case ones?
No, because the wand chooses the wizard.
Okay, as a child, I'm kind of making an equivalency here. As a child, if you've never seen me in person, I wear glasses. I used to break my glasses constantly as a child.
Okay.
Like...
But glasses are not a one size, like, glasses are one size fits all. A wand, as Ollivander says, the wand chooses the wizard. So...
No. I get what you're saying.
How can Dumbledore go, Ollivander, I want to buy 50 wands from you? Because...
I'm not saying it would be perfect, but, like, just use this in place until you have the money or time to buy a new one.
They would be worse at magic, kind of like how Ron is terrible at magic, and Neville...
Or Neville was using his dad's.
Or how Neville was just as terrible at magic.
I also think there's a confidence thing. But whatever, we're off topic again.
No. It's not, because he still has the broken wand in here, in this one. Does he?
No. He gets a new wand at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So we...
Didn't Harry buy the wand for him? Or something?
No.
I thought Harry...
No, because Mr. Weasley won the lottery.
That's right.
The night bus comes to pick him up, which is violently purple. Shout out to all my Potterless fans. You'll know what that means. Only Francis. It's literally described in the book as being violently purple, and Potterless, he latched on to the fact that a lot of colors are described as, like, violent or angry or, like, they're described with emotions.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. I don't know why it's if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
My favorite Lego set is the Night Bus. I have owned, like, 7 of those Lego sets.
This scene is, like, pure and utter chaos.
Oh my gosh.
Fun fact, Stan and Ernie are named after J.K. Rowling's grandfathers.
Nice.
The Shrunken Head, I don't think was in the book.
And it wasn't a Lego set.
Yeah, but the Lego sets are made after the movies.
True.
Let
me look it up.
I find the way that Stan Shunpike is described in the books initially really weird, because they, like, really, really talk about his acne, like, a lot, in, like, a really disgusting way. And I don't like it. I don't enjoy that. Yeah. So the scene is, like, super, super chaotic, and there's this famous interaction where he goes, the Muggles, can't they see us? And Stan Shunpike goes, the Muggles, they don't see nothing, do they?
Yeah.
Because basically the Muggles are kind of, like, known to be either oblivious, or they almost pass off magic as just, like, oh, that was a funny coincidence, or, oh, I must have just seen that out of the corner of my eye. But it was magic.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just a movie thing.
Yeah. There's a couple of, like, really funny interactions about, like, hey, guys, why the long faces? Or, like, when they stop at the grandma and he, like, counts down. Or when they accidentally bump the car and the car goes off, and then you see Tom, the barkeep, come out and, like, click his clicker.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to guess? Do you remember what the Shrunken Head's name was called?
No, I don't think he had a name.
Jure Head. Do you want to guess his cousin's name?
He has a cousin?
Yeah, we've seen him.
Is he outside the 3 broomsticks?
No.
What?
His cousin's name is Hetty.
Okay, that was information I didn't need, but thank you.
No, it's in Nocturne Alley. It's in Burgess and Borgs. Borgins and Burks. We see it in Chamber of Secrets. When Harry is following Malfoy and...
No, he just accidentally ends up in Nocturne Alley.
No.
But he runs into Lucius and Draco.
It's in Burgers.
In 6? When he follows Draco and Narcissa?
It's in Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, okay. Well, and then we arrive at the Leaky Cauldron. The Leaky Cauldron, that's in London. There are certain lines in this franchise that are burned into my head. I completely forgot in Chamber of Secrets, the one that I quote all the time is the freshly caught Cornish pixies. That in Goblet of Fire, it's Chinese fireball. Ooh. But I just, like, these movies are just so ingrained into my head that I just can't help it. So interesting fact about Tom the barkeep is that in the first one, he is just, like, a regular dude with, like, mutton chops, and now suddenly he's a hunchback.
Yeah.
I don't really love that, but whatever. But also I find it really interesting that, so Voldemort, his actual name is Tom Riddle, and there's this really interesting through line about how, and it's pretty subtle, I feel like, that he hates being called Tom because it's such an ordinary name.
Yeah.
Because it's his Muggle father's name, but also it's like, you know, it's so common, like the barkeep at the Leaky Cauldron. And I just find it's really interesting that she chose the name Tom for this character.
Yeah. Do you want to guess? Do you remember how much the night bus costs?
It's like 3 sickles or something.
11.
I should know that.
It's 11 sickles, regardless of the distance.
It doesn't go underwater.
It doesn't say it doesn't, or does.
There's literally a sign on it that says everywhere but underwater.
Yeah.
So it only goes to the UK.
Yeah.
Because the UK is an island.
Yes. For 13 sickles, the rider also gets a hot chocolate.
Yeah.
And for 15, you get a hot water bottle and a toothbrush in the color of your choice.
My question is, how does one sleep on the night bus? Because it's like, the beds are like sliding all over the place.
Due to the haphazard manner of the bus's design and services, the hot chocolate would end up spilling all over the place when served. Despite the night bus being popular traveling methods for Wizarding community that kept it busy to this day, most of its passengers seemed very pleased to get off when they arrived at their stop.
I also really love this line. Harry is talking to Stanch on Pike, and he sees Sirius on the poster, or not on the poster, the paper. And, you've been hearing of Sirius Black, and it's like, he's a big supporter of you-know-who. Haven't you heard of him? And Harry goes, yes, him I've heard of. I don't know. I just really like that exchange. In the book, he says he's Neville Longbottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they ask for his name, or they already know who he is. I don't know. Stan doesn't seem to recognize him, at least in the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, they arrive at the Leaky Cauldron. There's a line from the Shrunken Head that's like, make sure you eat the pea soup before it eats you.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, because Leaky Cauldron have good pea soup? Because, like, I feel like Harry would be hungry as hell.
So, we see the night bus a lot more in the book. Like, in the
Oh, yeah. They take it to, like, they take it to Grimmauld Place, I think.
Yeah,
or they take it back to Hogwarts, maybe? I can't remember.
So, on April 20th, 1994, Hagrid and Buckbeak travel on a night bus to the hearing.
He takes the Hippogriff on...
Yes.
Okay.
With the Malfoy attack.
I'm never shocked with Hagrid, but...
During Christmas holidays in December of 95, Hermione uses the night bus to join everyone at 12 Grimmauld Place after Nagini's attack on Arthur.
That's what it was.
And then in January of 96, Harry, Ron, and Hermione travel back to Hogwarts from 12 Grimmauld Place on the night bus after Christmas holidays. They were accompanied by Lupin and Tonks. Madame Marsh was also on the bus, but had to get off due to illness.
So he meets with Fudge, and Fudge is basically like, don't go anywhere, stay here, like, you know, you're not in trouble, like, and they got his books for him already. In the book, this is, like, a month before school starts, so he spends, like, a month in Diagon Alley, like, eating ice cream and reading all of his new books and, like, talking to a lot of the townspeople and the Leaky Cauldron patrons, and, you know, like, he spends a whole month and he's, like, free, basically, except for, you know, he needs to stay within Diagon Alley. The movie goes to, there's this shot of, like, the camera, like, pans through, and there's a guy, like, stirring his coffee with his finger, like magicking the spoon.
And reading
A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking.
Yeah. So, like... So... In science, people always said magic is...
Science is magic.
Magic is science that is not explainable. So...
Or, you mean... Science is magic?
That's been explained. No. Magic is science that is unexplainable.
Okay.
You can say it either way. Science is magic that's been explained, or magic is science that's unexplainable. You can say it either way. It just depends on which one you say first.
I'm pretty sure... I can't remember off the top of my head, but this actor, the guy who's reading this book, is, like, a famous rock star. I think it's, like, from Radiohead or something.
I don't know. I would have to look at a picture of him.
I can't remember.
So, does that mean that... Is there science in the wizarding community?
I mean...
Alchemy is a science, but it's also a type of magic.
No, but, I mean, they have arithmancy, which is basically wizard math.
Yeah, but that's not science. That's math.
They have potions, which is a science.
Alchemy. Turning two things into another.
But they also have, like St. Mungo's is a hospital.
Yeah, why is there a wizard hospital? In all seriousness, why is there a wizard hospital? Isn't there just a magical spell to heal your bones?
Not for everything, as evidenced in Book 5.
But, like, if you can make Skeletor grow, why is there not a potion or a spell or something to fix an eyesight?
You're never gonna let that die.
No. Or, like, cancer. Or...
Magic LASIK.
Yeah. Like... Yeah. But, like... I'm sorry, but the Statue of Secrecy has messed up a lot of stuff. I'm just saying.
So then we meet back up with Ron and Hermione. I do really love this little thing where you see the maid go knock on the door and the creature like growls at her, and then you see like Scabbers and Crookshanks running after each other. I don't know. I really like that shot. It's fun.
I still think they should have just let. So, if Crookshanks ate Scabbers, Voldemort would not have come to life.
Yeah. Crookshanks, if you didn't know, is half Kneazle, which a Kneazle is a cat-like creature, but they're a lot larger, that are, like, super, super smart and, like, have really good senses.
So,
there is a fan theory, however, that, so the Potters had a cat.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fan theory because Harry's neighbor, Mrs. Figg,
yes,
has Kneazles. She breeds Kneazles.
Yes.
There's a theory that the cat that the Potters had was given by Mrs. Figg, and it's Crookshanks. That's why he knows who Sirius is. Most fan theories, I'm like, meh. This one I like.
That's too much on the nose. That's too many little dominoes that have to fall into place.
That's why he knows who Sirius is. Because he's been in the shop for 12 years that Hermione buys him at.
Harry's older than 12, so it can't be the same cat.
Harry's parents died when he was 1.
So he turned 12 in 2. So
technically, he was 15 months when his parents died. If you want to really do the math.
So he was born, right before school starts?
He was born in end of July.
So right before school starts, essentially.
Almost, yeah.
Okay, just go with me.
Yeah.
So he's 11 all of the first year, 12 the second year. So he would be 13. So yeah, it lines up. Yeah, it lines up.
It's also, there is a theory that Lily, he was Lily's pet at Hogwarts, which is why he knows how to, like, hit the knot on the Whomping Willow to make it still. Like, he seems to know Hogwarts.
But Lily never would have gone to the Shrieking Shack.
No, but maybe Crookshanks, like, befriended James and Sirius to help them.
That's, again, too many dominoes have to fall.
I know. I'm just saying there's a theory that's out there that I don't think is...
That would be a very old...
I don't think it's implausible. But he's half Kneazle.
But that would still be a very old cat.
But he's half Kneazle. They're magic. So then he meets up with all the Weasleys, and Mr. Weasley pulls him aside, and there's one of these... Alfonso is kind of famous for these cinematography scenes that, like, are really, really long shots that are... The camera's constantly moving.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you see this conversation between Arthur and Harry, and the wanted poster with Sirius is, like, constantly framed. Then we get on the train, and, like, Molly, why do you gotta get this rat? Like, if you let Ron forget his rat at home. So it's Molly's fault that Voldemort's back. So they get on the train, and then, they're, riding along with this, like, sleeping man, and the train stops, and the window freezes, and we meet the Dementors, which are apparently, they are written to be the personified version of depression.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so interesting. The way that Ron describes, like, all the happiness is gone from the world, and it feels like I'll never be cheerful again. And
so you say they attack Harry a lot because of all the pain and suffering, but
because he has a traumatic life.
If they are the embodiment of depression, they would attack happy memories instead, because happy memories defeat them. So they want to get rid of the happiness.
No, they feed on misery.
And Harry also has more than one soul.
Yeah, that's the running theory. I don't buy it, but...
How do you not buy it? He has 2 souls in him.
Because Lupin literally says to him, you have more trauma in your past than any of your classmates could ever dream of.
It's probably both. Because what do the Dementors suck? They suck the soul.
No, but they're feeding on misery.
Yes, but they also suck out the soul, because as you can see, Sirius's soul gets sucked out of him on the lake.
That's the Dementor's kiss, though. That's something different.
He was trying to do the Dementors. You cannot say the Dementors were not trying to do the Dementor's kiss on Harry.
I don't think they were trying to do it right then. I think that they were attracted to Harry's misery. Which, to my thing is, are they also attracted to Neville, too? Because Neville has quite a bit of misery.
But Neville also doesn't have a broken, tormented soul in him that adds
his
to the
parents
misery.
were literally tortured to insanity.
But Harry has his broken soul, but he also has Voldemort's broken soul in him.
I just wonder if they, or even Luna. I mean, we haven't met Luna yet, but she's on the train, essentially.
But in a different compartment.
But I wonder if they would feed on her too, because she also has a tragic backstory.
Or did they smell...
Or even Ginny, because, like, Ginny, the previous year...
No, that's not enough trauma. No, honestly, it's probably because he has 2 souls in him. They're attracted to misery souls. Both souls in Harry are broken and...
I see your point, but...
Because Voldemort, when you break a soul, you turn less human. And Voldemort broke his, 8 times or 7 times before? 6 times before Harry?
So then we get to Hogwarts and we have...
Or we see the first Patronus.
Well, it's not a Patronus, it's not... What is... I've only ever seen this word written, I've never heard it said. Corporeal? It's, like, not an animal.
So it's just a Patronus...
It's like
Patronus-less animal.
The light blob. And we learned that chocolate combats it, which... I'm like, if we're really going to go for the depression allegory, are we going to say that chocolate solves depression?
I mean...
Because it doesn't.
There are ingredients in chocolate
I see where they're going. I see
that
the
do
leap.
help with depression. Like the sugars and stuff. It
increases like dopamine. I get it.
Yeah.
But so then we see the carriages and the song Double Double Boil in Trouble, which fun fact is from the lyrics are from Macbeth. And this song is iconic in the series. Like,
isn't it the same song that the frog choir does?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the frog choir, and there are some kids in this choir that are just like giving all of the facial expressions. Like, watch some of them like intently next time you watch this movie. Like, some of them are like really intense.
There's some that are just too into it.
It's like, okay. And then we meet our brand new Dumbledore, R.I.P. Richard Harris. Hello, Michael Gambon. Some people really don't like Michael Gambon.
I don't think he's a good Voldemort.
Voldemort?
Or Dumbledore. I don't think he's a good Dumbledore.
I don't know. We'll never know what Richard Harris's Dumbledore would have ended up being.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but...
Yeah.
I think Michael Gambon does okay in his softer moments.
He doesn't have that many, though.
But there are enough moments where I'm like, okay, what you doing? That I think it really comes down to I don't think that Michael Gambon understood the character.
No, not at all.
Because he didn't read the book.
Yeah, no.
And I'm not saying, like, every actor needs to read the source material, but I think he didn't understand Dumbledore, in my personal opinion, to where I just don't think this Dumbledore reads the same as Richard Harris's Dumbledore.
Yeah.
They just feel like two different people to me. There are occasional moments where you're like, okay, there's book Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But it's rare. There's this line that gets criticized. I've seen criticized a fair amount where he talks about happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if you only turn on the light.
Yeah.
I've heard it said that, like, that line's, like, really trite. And, like, I love it, personally. I used in my old apartment when I lived alone, I had, like, a gallery wall, and I had a poster of that quote.
Yes.
Up. And I really, really love that line. We also learned that Hagrid is our Care of Magical Creatures teacher.
So, was he always that teacher, or is it...
He's just a groundskeeper. Why did Dumbledore ever think that it's a good idea to station Dementors outside the school?
I don't think it was his decision.
You're right. It was the ministry's decision. But I'm like, we know how unpredictable these things are.
Yeah, why would they even put them around the school?
Apparently they're looking for Sirius.
But why would he go back to... I mean, yes, I understand
He does, though.
Yes, but I understand why they go back to... Or why he goes back to Hogwarts. I understand that. But why would they assume he would go back to Hogwarts, not his home?
Right?
Or did they have Dementors
No,
there?
because he had already said when he saw the paper, I need to find him. And, like, I think he was, like, mumbling Harry's name or something.
But Dementors don't speak.
This is my question when it comes to Azkaban, okay?
I know the ministry...
How much do the Dementors actually do? Are they just patrolling, or are they actual humans?
Let me look that up.
Because I'm just imagining, like, Dementors in the kitchens, like, making up meals.
No, there's probably house elves.
Probably, but there is a really funny fan art of, I'm sure there's multiple. But, there's a really funny fan art of, a Dementor with an apron on baking cookies, that I really enjoy. So, then, is this when we go to divination? I think this is when we go to divination. and we meet Professor Trelawney. And we find out Harry has the Grim. I'm really sorry about all the quotes in this.
Please quit doing them.
I have seen this movie 800,000 times.
Yes, I know. She does the quote all the time.
And it's an omen of death. And then we go down to see Hagrid, and basically Hermione shows up in the middle of the lesson, and Ron's like, "Where'd you come from?" And then we go down to Hagrid's, and we meet Buckbeak, and we get this glorious scene of Harry riding Buckbeak around the castle, and it is such a incredible view of our, like, beloved set piece. This is such a fantastic scene. It gives a lot of Titanic, I'm the King of the World energy a little bit, but in such a good way. I think it's such a glorious scene. We get plenty of Draco being a little menace.
Yeah.
Especially the, "It's killed me! It's killed me!"
Too bad it didn't.
Right? And especially when he's, like, trying to, like, make Pansy Parkinson, like, feel for him, where he's like, you know, they might have to, like, I don't know what he says to her, but she's like, "Oh, it looks really painful." And it's just like, really, Draco?
Yeah.
So Sirius Black has been sighted, which from, like, not far from there. And then, okay, so then they go back to the Gryffindor Tower, and they figure out that the Fat Lady's portrait has been attacked, and they learned that Sirius is in the castle, which I'm like, Sirius, I get that you're, like, really trying to get Peter, but, like, did you need to terrorize the poor painting? Like, it seems like...
But they can fix the painting with a simple spell.
And I think this is a bigger criticism later. But Sirius is an extremely emotionally stunted character. I mean, he's been in Azkaban since he was 21.
Yeah.
So, I get it. But he's such a frustrating character to me because I want to like him so bad.
Yeah.
But he's so reckless. And, like, this is one of the first instances of that to me. That, like, you needlessly... Like, I mean, obviously the Fat Lady is not a real person, but, you know, he harmed...
Or it was a real person at one time.
I'm not sure.
I mean...
But, like, he didn't need to, like, he doesn't need to terrorize people. I get that he's, like, a fugitive and all of that, but, like, he's so reckless, and it's really frustrating in hindsight, especially with other patterns of behavior that Sirius just is, especially in book 5, that he has. It's really, really frustrating in hindsight.
Yeah, here it is. This, blah, 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 Dementors drain people of all happiness and leave them with their worst memories. Long exposure usually leads to insanity, even death. So, why would they attack Harry? What happy memories does he have?
Shouldn't they feed on, like...
They feed on him because he has 2 souls. That's why they feed on him. And that's even been confirmed by J.K. Rowling.
Has it?
I believe so.
Somebody weigh in on this for me, because...
Because if they feed on happiness, then they would feed off Ron.
Yeah, because he's lived a pretty happy life. So then we get the Quidditch match in a thunderstorm. Which I'm like, Dumbledore, excuse me. Like, when I was in high school, my freshman year, I was on the color guard team, and I was terrible. If you know me, you know I have, like, zero coordination whatsoever. But they would literally cancel a, like, competition if there was even thunder, like, several miles away. So Harry wakes up in the hospital wing, and his Nimbus 2000 flies into the Whomping Willow, which, that had to have been heartbreaking.
But also,
It's his pride and joy, you know?
Why are people still letting Harry play? He gets injured every year due to it.
Which also raises a question. Oliver Wood is supposed to be this, like, he's the captain of the Quidditch team. I almost said football team. He's the capital? He's the captain of the Quidditch team. But he literally says in his first Quidditch match that he took a bludger to the head and was out for, like, a month. And then he, like, in every other game, he gets, like, gravely injured.
Not as injured as Harry.
Harry literally just broke an arm last movie.
And then he made it. Then
Lockhart
turned into
the
rubber.
doofus.
Turned into rubber. The first one, he fell off the broom and almost choked on the snitch. And then
I'm just saying.
This one. So
I'm just saying.
Dumbledore saved him from falling.
Dumbledore
right?
and because arrest of momentum. I think Dumbledore and McGonagall are wildly negligent for letting this game happen.
I would be like, sorry.
If my kid was supposed to play that day, I'd be like, no.
You don't ever see parents there.
You saw Lucius once. But supposedly, so there's a shot of this kid, because they're playing Hufflepuff, which is, like, the only time they don't...
Lucius is also a governor to the
This
school.
is true. They're playing Hufflepuff, which is the only time that you ever in the movies see them play non-Slytherin. But they're playing Hufflepuff.
Is there even a Ravenclaw team?
Every house has a team. We just never see them.
Because they're not that good.
Cho is the seeker for Ravenclaw. But there's a shot where this Hufflepuff guy is getting electrocuted. Supposedly that's supposed to be Sirius. Or not Sirius, Cedric. But obviously we didn't know Robert Pattinson was going to be in this yet. Because it's the Hufflepuff seeker who's supposed to be Cedric.
Yeah. Which, I mean, even if Harry... Because Gryffindor always wins. Because Gryffindor is, like, Dumbledore's favorite house.
In the book, they play every other house every year. But in the movie, we only see one match per year.
Because it would be boring to...
But, like, I'm sorry, Dumbledore. Like, I don't know how the governors didn't have his head for this.
So is there a governor for every house?
I don't know. I don't know how the governing board works, to be honest with you.
I know that they're a part of the ministry, so...
I imagine it's probably a money thing, given Lucius's...
No, because he works for the ministry.
I think it's like the PTA. I don't know how they don't have his head for this. Because if it was my kid, I'd be livid.
Do you... Is there a wizard college?
We don't need to get into this.
No, but, like... If you're good enough at, like, potions, is there wizard college?
They just go straight to the workforce.
Boo.
Editing Sarah here. So I forgot to mention this little thing throughout this movie is the subtle passage of time with use of the Whomping Willow, dropping its leaves and having snow on it, and I don't know. I just really love the subtlety and, like, this light comedy, and because the Whomping Willow is such a fixture in this movie, I think that that's, like, such a good transitional scene, and I just wanted to mention it because I love it. It's very sweet. Then we get...
So they're up with the modern
times. Throughout this entire movie, we get a lot of Harry in the clock tower gazing longingly, which is... Honestly, was it their subtle way of, like, foreshadowing? Because he's in the clock tower, specifically. Foreshadowing the time travel.
No, I think it's just Harry can be there in peace. and not have, like, and deal with other people because no one else goes to the clock tower. So I think he can be alone with his own thoughts and think.
So he tries to get to Hogsmeade, but he doesn't have a permission slip, which I'm like, McGonagall, this child doesn't have parents and has horrible abusive relatives. Just let him go. Like, I get the whole Dementor thing, but, like, him getting some fish and chips and some candy is not that big of a deal.
We'll let you play a sport that can kill you, maim you, or, like, give you permanent brain damage.
But no, you cannot go to the candy shop.
No. Like...
I don't understand.
Like...
They are fully aware of Harry's situation. I get the Dementor situation. I do.
Or they're keeping Harry there because there's been sightings of a wolf by Hogsmeade.
I think it's specifically a protection thing.
But wouldn't...
But I imagine if this happened any other year, they still wouldn't let him go.
Or they did a parents' permission slip this year because they knew Harry couldn't get one.
I just think it's kind of crappy.
But I mean, in all honesty, think about this. Fred and George didn't go.
I think they probably just chose not to.
So...
Because, you know, they're 2 years older than Harry, so they probably have been to the village a bunch of times, and they were, like, playing out in the snow together, which is very wholesome.
So, Hogsmeade
very sweet.
in Hogwarts Legacy, it's not that far.
That's a long walk.
Yes. Yes, it is. The 50 times you have to do it before
You'd get there probably, like, twice as fast as me, because you're, like... several inches taller than me. So then we meet up with Fred and George, and I love this shot of Fred and George. They're building snowmen. I almost said sandcastles. Snowmen, and they, like, see Harry's footprints in the snow, but, like, Harry's under the invisibility cloak, and they grab him.
Yeah.
And then they give him the Marauders map, and I love this sweet little interaction. I love the twins.
There was a interview with the twins that... like, the interviewer, it was like a joke interview, but, like, the twins didn't know. You know, like, how those were, like, all the rage for a while?
Sure.
They're like, how long did you know each other? They're like, oh, we just met on, like, setup.
Yeah. I've seen this.
Like...
it's like, we met at the audition.
Yeah. It was during the phase where it was just, like, Smosh was doing interviews, like, all the YouTubers were just doing, like, the fake... interviews just for fun.
And then we get introduced to the concept of the Marauders map, which
gets underutilized.
I think it's used a fair amount.
So
at least in the book it is.
No, I'm saying, like, overall, like, going forward in the rest of the movies, it is underutilized. Because Harry could have used... so, the Marauders map, what did it have... it works on the grounds of Hogwarts, right?
Yeah, it's the castle in the grounds. And I don't think you see Hogsmeade on it, but the passages are on it.
Yes, so, the hedge maze in the fourth one, would that have popped up on the map? Because it was still on the grounds.
I don't know.
Because it's on the grounds. Or is it just whatever they mapped?
I really don't know.
Because the Shrieking Shack is on the map.
Yeah.
And no one knows about the Shrieking Shack.
Interesting thing, and I didn't realize this until several years ago. My oldest brother really wanted to watch the whole series with me, and he's never read the books. And so this was one of the big things that he had a gripe with this specific movie, is that the movie never once talks about how James, Sirius, Lupin, and Peter are the Marauders. They never once actually say it. You're just supposed to infer it.
I thought they did.
No,
because they say their names.
They say the nicknames, and you're just supposed to, like, infer.
Yeah.
But it's never explicitly
because you don't
laid
know
out.
who they are until the end. You don't know who they are until...
well, because they never
explain...
They never explain that James is also an animagus. We only get that one line from Ron that's like, he's the dog, he's an animagus. to Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we get explicitly that Wormtail is a rat. But we never get told that James is also...
I'm sorry.
We know that his Patronus is a stag.
I'm sorry, but if...
I just don't understand why Lupin couldn't tell... Because I'm pretty sure he tells him in the book. But, like, not about the map thing. I mean, about the history of the Shrieking Shack and stuff like that.
So...
Or maybe Dumbledore tells him. I can't remember.
If you nickname your friend Wormtail...
Because he's a rat. But I'm also like...
But, like, the other names aren't insulting.
When you learn how to become an animagus, you get to choose. And if you don't get to choose, you should basically know that if your friend turns into a rat...
Don't trust them.
Yeah. Of all the things that they become.
I mean, he looked like a rat before he turned into a rat.
Well, like, McGonagall describes him as, like, a lump of a boy.
Yeah.
Always trailing after them.
So... If Voldemort was an animagus, would it be a snake?
I don't know. What would you pick as your animagus? If you could pick. What is, like, your... I hate using this phrase, but, like, spirit animal. Like, what is, like, your personality as an animal?
I don't know. I've never thought about it.
I'm a cat, 100%.
I think a dragon would be cool.
No, not what would be cool. Like, what embodies your personality?
I don't know what my animagus would be, but I know it's a pain in the rear to become one.
Yeah, you have to, like, do a bunch of spells and put a leaf under your tongue.
A mandrake leaf.
Is it a mandrake leaf?
Yeah, it's a mandrake leaf. So you have to, like, give a mandrake a haircut.
But you put the leaf under your tongue for, like, a month.
Or I don't know if it's under your... I think it just has to stay in your mouth.
I don't know, but, like, is Wormtail really, like... skilled enough to do that? Because I've never really thought... I guess he's crafty, but...
I think it's like it has to be from one full moon to another full moon. Or something like that.
I don't know, but I didn't realize until my brother had explained to me that... Like, he was like... I remember him asking, like, oh, so who made the map? And I said, oh, it's James, Sirius, Lupin, and Wormtail. And he was like... Did they ever say that? I'm like, I don't think they did, actually.
Did they actually make the map, or did they find it and then put a code in it?
They mapped the whole... Because they wanted to map all of the secret passages. And then it got confiscated and it was stuck in Filch's office until the twins found it.
Or I thought it was until Percy, or, not Percy. No,
it was until the twins found it.
The ghost imp.
Peeves.
I thought Peeves found it, and then... He's
a poltergeist, actually.
The poltergeist. I know he's a poltergeist, but I couldn't remember what he was. Or his name. He's the size of an imp. No, I thought Peeves found it, and then they stole it from Peeves.
No, they get something else confiscated from them, and they try to get it back, and then they run across it.
But how would they know how to open the map?
That's my thing. It's like mischief managed, and I solemnly swear I am up to no good. Is like those are not words that you like. They probably said like Revelio, and then it's supposed to like insult whoever tries to read it.
Yeah, because it does insult Snape when Snape says Revelio.
Well, no, but that's literally what it's supposed to do. And so then I don't know how they came to the I solemnly swear I'm up to no good, though.
Maybe Lupin told... Maybe...
I think they found it the previous year. So, like, pre-Lupin.
Maybe.
So then Harry sneaks into Hogsmeade, through the One-Eyed Witch's passageway, which leads to Honeydukes. And, he sneaks into the Three Broomsticks and learns that, Sirius is his godfather. Which, this scene where he's yelling, he was their friend. Like, that's arguably the worst acting. Sorry, don't come for me. That Daniel Radcliffe ever does. Even though I really praise him for some of his angsty stuff.
So, do the professors know that Sirius didn't kill?
I don't think so, because Pettigrew was, like, the only witness. And I think
but
that...
couldn't, like, Sirius say...
Nobody knew that the Potters had changed the Secret Keeper last minute. That's kind of the whole point of a Secret Keeper.
So it was Peter Pettigrew.
Peter... Originally, it was Sirius, and then they switched it to Pettigrew last second because they thought the Sirius was too obvious.
Yeah.
And so, but obviously nobody knew that they did that.
Why not Lupin?
I don't know.
I mean, Peter Pettigrew.
But I think that he was... he was the only witness. And so I think that they just thought that Sirius had snapped. Because it was the same night that the Potters died. So maybe they thought that he was just distressed.
Maybe. Because apparently Sirius killed Peter Pettigrew.
And like 13 muggles.
Yeah, which was Peter Pettigrew.
Yeah.
And Voldemort. Or it was Peter
It was an
Pettigrew.
explosion that killed them.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So then, Harry tries to convince, Lupin to teach him the Patronus Charm.
Mm-hmm.
And...
First, he wants him to learn how to block a boggart.
Oh, we missed the boggart lesson.
Yeah.
The boggart lesson.
Which leads to the, Expecto Patronum. Which is the only other spell Harry ever uses.
So, this boggart lesson, I think, is so clever, the way that it is shot. The shot opens on, like, going into the cabinet, into the mirror, and I love shots like that.
Mm-hmm.
What is your boggart?
Doll clowns.
Doll clowns?
Yes.
Mine would be rats.
So Peter Pettigrew.
I also find it very unsettling when Molly is holding him running after the train. He's, like, massive.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed how huge that rat is?
Or Molly's just tiny.
Ugh. Ugh.
But the rat looks tiny when, like, it's with Ron.
Literally, rats make me want to peel my own skin off.
So, essentially,
I really hate them.
Ron made them lose the family pet.
They have Errol. He gets Pigwidgeon in the next one.
The dumb owl.
He's tiny.
The dumb owl that, like, crash lands into the food.
He's a derp.
There's a derp and there's idiot. And he's an idiot.
So then,
Harry just starts throwing snowballs at Malfoy, and they see the Shrieking Shack.
Yeah, so then they go back, and they have another divination class where Hermione storms out, and because Trelawney basically roasts her, because Hermione does not have, like, the eye to, because she's way too logical.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry goes after the crystal ball that she knocks over and brings it back, and he sees Sirius, like, in the crystal ball, and then Trelawney has, like, a trance where she's like, he will return tonight.
Yeah.
And then we learned that Buckbeak's been sentenced to death.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucius and Draco are vile.
Yeah.
So then we see Harry, Ron, and Hermione in their, like, street clothes, and they go down to meet Hagrid, and we run into Draco and his cronies. She punches him in the face.
Which, didn't Hermione have to slap someone else in this movie?
No. But she had to, like, do, like, 10 takes of hitting Tom Felton in the face.
Yeah, because she kept punching too soft, or it didn't look right.
They run down to Hagrid's, and then a couple of, like, weird little things happen. Like, there's a stone hit. Like, stuff like that. And they're like up on the hill when quote unquote Buckbeak is killed, which there's a debate whether or not they actually...
You can't change the past. You can modify the future, but you can't really change the past.
Well, because it's a paradox. So, because we learn in the time travel that the executioner only cuts a pumpkin. Ron gets bit, and Pettigrew runs into the tree, and we go into the Shrieking Shack, because it's like a passageway to the Shrieking Shack.
Yes.
And
underneath the Whopping
there's
Willow.
that really anxiety-inducing scene where we basically learn everything throughout this entire movie.
Yeah.
And Lupin is a werewolf, and which it's telegraphed throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like his boggart is
the moon. And then page 394 is talking about werewolves. Or the anatomy of werewolves or something like that.
Turn to page 394.
Can you do it without quoting it?
No.
Because, yeah, it's... If you would recognize this image. I don't know if you would. But it's the,
It's like the dude...
Who drew it?
Da Vinci?
Yes. So, it's the, it's Impervious Man? The Perfect Man? Something like that. But it's a werewolf version of it.
So, I love this interaction that they're like, this is where your heart truly lives. And I don't know, it's really sweet.
Harry attacks Sirius, and then, Lupin comes in, breaks it up, and then he starts to attack...
Snape protects the kids, too.
From the werewolf.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's a werewolf.
I know, but, it says a lot about Snape, I think.
You say Snape is evil.
Oh, I hate Snape.
Snape is morally gray.
I'll give him credit when credit is due.
He's morally gray. He also protects the kids in 6.
I think that Snape as a character is a moral quandary.
I mean, he had to be evil because of Dumbledore.
I think he's a creepy incel. Go to the lake, and they're basically trying to suck the soul out of Harry and Sirius.
Yeah.
And Harry wakes up in the hospital wing, and we learn about the time turner.
Yeah.
And we go back and basically do it all again.
The last 5 hours.
I do really like this interaction with Dumbledore, though, where Dumbledore is like, 3 turns should do it. Good luck.
And you can save 2 lives tonight.
I think that's one of the rare occasions when Michael Gambit is like the twinkly Dumbledore.
Yeah. So, he knows that Buckbeak gets saved. So,
yeah, because he's like, search the skies, if you will, and then he goes to Hagrid. He's like, I'd like a nice tea or a cup of brandy. Like, he's stalling.
So he knows Buckbeak gets saved before Buckbeak gets saved. So, is he not affected by his time turner?
It's a paradox.
But Dumbledore wouldn't know that Buckbeak gets saved before he gets saved.
Yeah, but he tells Harry and Hermione
that 2 lives might be able to be saved tonight. So, 2 lives might means that...
Or that's current or past time travel Dumbledore? Like, there's 2 Dumbledores?
No, there's not 2 Dumbledores. There's 2 Harry and Hermione's, but there's only 1 Dumbledore. Unless if Dumbledore
did the time turner first.
No, I'm not saying
you
first.
Can't go forward, so...
No, I'm not saying first. What I'm saying is, just like you can't apparate in Hogwarts, besides Dumbledore can, Dumbledore probably has access to some magic to enchant certain items to not be effective for, the time turner. To know what happens.
Yeah.
Because Dumbledore is there, so that implies that Buckbeak did... No, the first Buckbeak did die. Because Dumbledore says two lives might be able to be saved tonight. Emphasis on might. So he saw Buckbeak die. So he's telling them that they can also save Buckbeak. Or that there's a way to save them. So is this the first?
See, this is where you get into some, like, hazy territory because time travel is
this has to be
weird.
This has to be the first iteration of this.
What do you mean exactly?
So, time travel always starts at one central point, right?
Yeah.
So, let's say we went back. So, best example. This is a terrible example because I know you've never seen it, but there's a Family Guy episode where Stewie and Brian go back in time. There's always the first one that goes back in time to start the time travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still follow me? Even if you time travel 50 times, there's still the first. So, is this version I'm just going to say current timeline, Harry and Hermione, which is...
We could literally spend all night on time travel.
No, I'm going to summarize it. I'm going to summarize it and not dumb it down, but do a quick summary. So, canon, or real life Harry and Hermione, the ones that we see, like, in the trees and stuff. When she says, that's what my hair looks like from behind. The one that Hermione says, I thought you saw something. The ones in the trees are the...
Time Turner Harry and Hermione.
I think that is the first Time Turner Harry Hermione. Because when they come back to the present, Ron says, you were just there. How did you get over there?
Yeah, because they're, like, running in the door.
So...
But Harry and Hermione, like, disappear.
They have to be the first iteration of the time travel.
Yeah, you're making it far more confusing for me, but...
No, they're the first to time travel for that paradox.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So, there's this instance where Sirius and Harry have this, like, moment where Sirius is, like, basically convincing Harry to, like, come live with him. But obviously, like, Pettigrew gets away. Harry is, like, not 3 minutes ago was, like, trying to kill this man.
Yeah.
How does he come around that quickly? Like...
Because he is Harry's godfather.
I get it, but it's so jarring. Like...
Yeah.
In the timeline of the movie, it is so quick.
Yeah, but in the book, isn't it longer?
I mean, it's still the same night, and Harry is, like, he is boilingly angry. And ready to kill this man.
I thought in the book, it was after they saved him with Buckbeak.
No. They're, like, waiting... I can't remember exactly. But, yeah. So then they go save Sirius at the lake, and Harry thinks it's his dad, but it's really him. And, like, I thought I could do it before because I've already done it. And I'm like, really, Harry? You're very dense.
So...
You're literally time traveling right now, and you did not make that connection before this?
Harry's also dumb.
He is so obtuse. I will say it 1,000 times. Go up to the top of the castle and save Sirius from the jail cell. Which, why is there a jail cell at the top of the castle? Neither here nor there. Supposedly it used to, like, way back in the day, store a troll. Which I'm like, is that the troll from the first one?
No, but the troll in the first one looked young. Looked like a young troll. A young troll.
A young troll, so it's like a 12-year-old on a forum.
Oh my god.
Okay, that was funny in my own head. There's this, I don't know, I really like the shot of the three of them flying on Buckbeak. It is like the American book cover. So then they go back to the hospital wing, and Ron's confused, and Harry's like, what is he talking about? And it's like,
Harry gaslight.
You can't be in two places at once.
Harry and Hermione just gaslit Ron.
Did they ever tell Ron what they did?
No, because we don't ever talk about a time turner again.
I just wonder if behind the scenes they were like, so we time traveled? And Ron's like, excuse me?
talking about flying on Buckbeak just unlocked a memory for me. So, in the EA version of Harry Potter, you had to fly on Buckbeak to, within a certain time. And it was the absolute hardest thing to do in that game.
Oh, and Sirius and Buckbeak fly away together. Sirius has this really sweet...
And we never see Buckbeak again.
You do in the book.
True.
Harry and Sirius has this really sweet interaction. It's like, he says, like, the ones we love always have a way of coming back to us in the end, in here.
Uh-huh.
I always get that line and the Luna, like, things we love always have a way of coming back to us in the end line confused. I get the two. There's two very similar lines that kind of have the same sentiment that I always get. I don't remember which one's which.
Well, I'm guessing the more kiddish one is Luna.
So then we go to the Great Hall, and Harry gets the firebolt, and I hate this freeze frame that Harry, like, shoots off into the distance, and then it's a freeze frame of his face. I hate it. And that ends the movie.
Yeah.
We do see Newt Scamander in the credits. Because the credits is is the Marauders map, and you see Newt Scamander briefly. So that's a wrap on Prisoner of Azkaban. Next week, we will be covering Goblet of Fire, which is when...
Can you just say it normally?
No.
The Goblet of Fire.
Stuff starts really getting real.
It's just trauma-inducing.
It's really, like, honestly, Goblet of Fire is not my favorite movie out of all of them.
Because they cut out so much.
But it's such a cornerstone of the series, because, like, it's so important to the overall... They're all really important, but, like...
They're important in their own ways. And this sets up the good versus evil.
Yeah. But... So, yeah, join us next week for Goblet of Fire.
Yes.
And be sure to check out our merch store.
And check out my Instagram for the chicken, and a slight recipe will be down in the comments on what to do.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
If you would like to support this podcast, please consider checking out our merch store at thefanclubpodcast.myspreadshirt.com. You can get exclusive designs designed by us on t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and many other items. We will have limited edition designs in the very near future. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias for updates on what we're working on in real time. We're part of the Needlessly Nerdy Entertainment Network. They're a conglomerate of podcasts and blogs that provide entertainment, news, and reviews about all things nerdy, including movies, TV, books, video games, tabletop games, cons, pop culture, and more. Go check out all of the amazing shows on the network at needlesslynerdy.com.
Needlessly Nerdy, your source for all things nerdy.
www.needlesslynerdy.com.